Boker Tov, good morning on this beautiful day. So this week we begin the book of Numbers. In Hebrew it's actually called Bamidbar, which means in the desert. Yet it also has another name which we use in English, which is called Sefer HaPikudin, the book of Numbers. And the reason is because at the beginning of this week's Torah portion, God counts the Jewish people. And so does he proceed countless times in the book of Numbers to count the Jewish people. And the rabbis ask, why does God count the Jewish people? And Rashi, the commentary, brings the explanation that when you love something, you count it. Some people count their money because they love their money, they want to have more. Some people count their children because they love their children, of course. When you have something that you cherish, that you love, you count it to see how much you have, etc., etc. Say the rabbis that that's why God counts the Jewish people, because he wants to show them his love, especially after a time of challenge, after they left slavery, or after there was a pandemic. God counts them to show that even in the darkest and most challenging times, he's counting them because of his love towards them. The rabbis always tell us something else very interesting. You know, if you study the laws of kosher, of milk and meat, what happens if you have a pot of chicken soup and it's a full pot and you're walking by with your coffee with milk and it spills, a drop spills by accident into the chicken soup. So now you have milk and meat together. Do you have to pour out the whole pot of chicken soup? So the rabbis tell us that if there's 60 times as much chicken soup as the coffee that fell in, then it's considered not significant. And of course you can't do it intentionally, but if it happened by accident, you could just use the soup because you won't taste the flavor. But the rabbis tell us something else very interesting, that something that's counted by number, davar shebeminyan eine batel, never gets nullified. For example, if you buy things by pound, so you don't count each one. But if you buy something by the dozen, you buy one item and you count it by the item, then even if it falls into a pot of chicken soup, it never gets nullified. And the rabbis say that's why God counts the Jewish people, because no matter how many more, how small they are, how little they are in the world, how many nations they are, the Jewish people never get nullified. They always survive and thrive and continue. You look around the world today and you feel so small. You think about anti-Semitism, you think about all these nations that hate us, all these people that hate us, and you say, we're only 14, 15 million. There's 6 billion people in this world. We're not even the margin of error in the census, in the polls. But you know what? The Torah counts us. And this book is called Sefer HaPikudin, the book of Numbers, because God's telling us, no matter how our numbers are, we're davar shebeminyan, we're a thing that's counted by God. And when you're counted by God, you can never become extinct, because God loves us and protects us and looks after us. And as Jews, we have to use this kindness and this love to celebrate who we are and the remarkable people of Israel and the Jewish people as a whole. I heard this remarkable story this weekend. A few months ago, there was this guy whose parents told him they're going to Kibbutz Lavi. It's a little kibbutz in Israel, and he said, I'll come join them. He's like 10 minutes away, and he realizes he's low on gas, so he figures he'll fill up gas before Shabbat, so afterwards he'll have it. He gets into the gas station, and he sees this woman is distraught. Her car is sitting there, and she looks very stressed. And he asks her, what's going on? Is everything okay? And she says, no, it's not okay. My car is overheating. I live an hour away. My husband and children are at home. And it's only an hour and a half to Shabbos, and I need to get home to my family. And the guy says to her, you know what, don't worry. I'm only 10, 15 minutes away from here. Take my keys, take my car home. I'll get a taxi to my kibbutz, Lavi, and after Shabbos I'll figure it out. And she said, are you kidding me? You don't even know me. How would you do that to me? And he says, don't worry, I trust you, just take my keys. She takes the keys, she goes home, she gets home for Shabbos. They exchange numbers, and after Shabbos she calls him and they arrange. She'll come with her husband, he'll come with his parents, and they'll meet at the gas station so he could get his car. And that's what happens. She gives him back the keys and she thanks him profusely. She says, you didn't know me and you were so kind and so caring. I'm so grateful for what you did. And he says, there's nothing to be grateful. And she says, is there anything you need from me? And he says, I don't need anything. And then his parents pipe up and say, yes, there's one thing he needs. And she says, what? And he says, he's single, he's not married. Maybe help him find his match. And she says, this man with such a big, kind heart is single? And she goes home and she shares the entire story on Facebook, everything that happened, and on Instagram, and saying that this is a single guy. If someone's looking for an amazing groom, this could be the perfect guy. Look at his kindness. And sure enough, she got dozens of resumes of different girls that wanted to go out with him. She sifted through them and she found one that seemed so kind and unique, just as this guy who helped her. And she met with her, she set them up, and sure enough, this past week, they got married in Israel, and they will build a beautiful Jewish family. Davar shebeminyan ein batel, something that's counted by God, never becomes extinct. A nation with so much love, someone who's ready to give his keys away without knowing them, because we know we're one family. And so ultimately that led to him finding his bashert and building a Jewish home. We are here to stay, despite all those that hate us. Am Yisrael Chai.